Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Premier Mark Brantley, and we'll be here with you this evening from 8 until the hour of 10 o'clock, God willing. That's the plan. We'll be here with you for 2 hours of commercial-free talk radio. This show is made possible through the kind generosity of the law firm of Daniel Brantley that has paid for this show to be on air for now nigh 2 decades, and we say thank you to them. They are doing their part, and we here are trying to do our part to keep freedom of speech alive and well in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. On this show, we don't spin, we give it to you straight talk across the narrows. We have maintained an audience now for nearly 20 years because I think people come to this show for exactly that. They know that on this show they will get it straight, no chaser. That's why we're here, to have an honest, open, and direct conversation with you, the members of the public. Let me say good evening to the people here in beautiful Nevis. It's a bit of a rainy night, but we do need the rain, and so we're thankful to God for that. And I say good evening as well to those over there in beautiful St. Kitts. Good evening to those who are listening all across the Caribbean. I know that we have listeners who tune in from all across the region, and I say good evening to you, Stacia, Sabre, wherever you are there in St. Martin, USVI, BVI, Puerto Rico, and Antigua, Montserrat, wherever you may be. Anguilla, good evening to you. Good evening to our friends and family in the United States and Canada. I know it's cold there, but I pray that you stay warm, and certainly if you need the Caribbean warmth, then jump on the next flight and come home. You know, it's always good to see you when you're here. Good evening to our friends across the pond in the United Kingdom. And we know it's late there, but we know some people stay up to listen to us, and so we thank all of you. Jackie, if you're listening, I know you're one of those who tends to stay up. Good evening to you and Moses and the entire family. I saw Mems just yesterday, and she's doing well. So, good evening to everyone, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. Tonight we have some ground to cover, so I ask you to bear with me. I start with a very, very sad news that we learned recently of the passing of Lady Sheila Daniel, the widow of our national hero, the Right Honorable, Right Excellent Sir Simeon Daniel. And Lady Sheila would have passed away. I'm told she would have passed away quietly. I would want to use this forum to extend my very deep condolences to her son Adrian, and to his immediate family, to her surviving sibling Monica, and her other relatives, Sheila, Lady Sheila, or T as I called her, and in fact as all of Sean's friends, her son, her late son Sean, all of his friends called her. She was, I think, one of the best people that I knew. Gentle in spirit, generous in spirit, beautiful to behold, but not just physical beauty, a type of emotional, mental, and spiritual beauty that really pervaded the room whenever she walked in. And she was a humble person, not someone given to the spotlight. She served her God, she served her church, she played the organ and or the piano in most of the Anglican churches around the island. She was a devout Anglican and served dutifully until very, very late in life. I am satisfied that she lived a good life, and she was as a mother to me, and I believe I was as a son to her. We had an excellent relationship, which was born out of the relationship that I enjoyed with my classmate and brother, her late son Sean. So I would want, Adrian, to extend my condolences to you and to the entire family. I know that it's a very difficult time, but I want to assure you that we are praying for you, and that the prayers of the multitude will comfort you. God is the great comforter, and in difficult times like these, I know that he'll wrap his arms around you and Renelle and the children and the entire family and give you comfort. And so we have lost a great Nevisian woman in Lady Sheila Daniel, and I extend from this rostrum my very, very deepest condolences and sympathies to the family. While I'm in that mode, let me also express my very deep condolences to the Dick family there in Bath Village. They have lost their matriarch, the mother, Mrs. Esmeralda Dick. Mrs. Dick was my very, very close friend, a long-time friend and supporter. I know that she'll be laid to rest fairly soon, and I wanted to just extend to Mr. Dick, my dear friend, Grafton, and the children, my deepest condolences. Mrs. Dick and her family would have moved here many, many years ago from St. Vincent, and they've made a life here and have contributed significantly to Nevis and more specifically to Bath Village. I would want the family to know that they're in our prayers. And if they're listening, please accept my deepest condolences on the passing of a wonderful, wonderful woman, Mrs. Dick, who was known to all and loved by all. In that same vein, let me also express my deep condolences to the family of Burley Walwyn. Burley, we know we lost a few days, or perhaps now it's maybe a week or so, week and a half or so ago. He had a terrible, tragic accident, and we lost him to that. And I would want to express my profound condolences to his wife, his children, his entire family, the Walwyn family, and also, of course, the Liebert family. He married into the Liebert family, all good Gingerland people of good Gingerland stock. I want to express my condolences. Burley was an executive member of the CCM, as somebody who loved his politics and as somebody who really contributed significantly to this party that I'm privileged to lead. He always was the person to nominate Eric Evelyn, and he was an integral part of the St. George's constituency group. And so Burley's family, I want to extend my condolences to you, and again to let you know, to let the family of Mrs. Dick know, to let the family of Lady Sheila Daniel know that you are in our prayers. And from all of us here on the Mark and all of us here on One Radio, we extend our deepest, deepest condolences to you. For others who may have lost loved ones, I extend my prayers and my thoughts to you as well, and pray, as I always do, that God will comfort you in this most difficult of times. If I can move on from that sad note, just to provide some updates. I'm very pleased to advise that our Minister with responsibility for water, the Honorable Spencer Brand, has reported that we are well on the way to connecting our new wells, one of them, into the water system. Of course, we have already connected our desalination plant that is already in the system, and the wells now will be connected into the system as well. The first well that is being connected, we're told, will give us just over 300,000 gallons of water per day. So that well is a game changer for us. And as you know, Nevis has been investing significantly in ensuring water security for our island and for the benefit of our people. Water is life, and we can't talk about a sustainable island state unless we can deliver on our commitment to provide a stable supply of potable water to our people. We also need water for development. And developers that we have been speaking to, one of their concerns is, does the island have water so that they can do their development and know that they'll have water. The Four Seasons Resort, particularly when they're full, we have struggled sometimes to keep them online. I'm happy to say that with these new wells coming on stream and with the significant investment that we are making now, looking like somewhere in the region of $10 million on drilling, that those water woes should be behind us. In fact, a light moment, and not to boast or to be arrogant, but just the benefits of good planning, good government with foresight. Just today, one of the colleagues in cabinet made a joke and said, what are we going to do with all this excess water? My answer, we are going to do our best to preserve it and conserve it. And I invite our people to continue to be frugal, sensible with water, and not to waste it. Not to waste it. But I feel comfortable with the work that we've done and the investment that we've done, that Nevis should have no water issues for the foreseeable future. Praise be to God. And kudos to Minister Spencer Brand and his entire team. While I'm on the note of updates, let me also update that over the past several days, the Nevis Island Administration has received a significant quantity of furniture that has come to equip our schools, desks and chairs. We are expecting 1,385 desks and 1,325 chairs. So far, we have received 995 desks and 845 chairs. The global cost, including shipping, is just over 500,000 EC dollars. Now that represents a significant investment in furniture for our schools. And it would not have been possible were it not for the generosity of the Wind Song Foundation. Now I'm sure people who listen to this show and pay attention to this show would know that I've been talking about the Wind Song Foundation for a long time. In fact, the Wind Song Foundation was funded with money from a matter that I was involved in, a case that I was involved in many, many moons ago, a very significant matter that was litigated in the Anguilla court and thereafter to the Court of Appeal. In fact, the Court of Appeal hearing was actually done on St. Kitts. We prevailed, and then thereafter we settled. And the sums were used to fund the Winsong Trust. The Winsong Foundation was set up to provide funding for schools and education around the region. They have been importantly involved in Anguilla with the Omololo School there. They have been involved with the Tennis Academy in Anguilla. They've been involved here in St. Kitts and Nevis, providing funding for programs such as dance programs. They have provided a number of brand new school buses to Nevis. They've provided laptops for our teachers, tablets for our students. They provided musical instruments, including steel pans, so that we could commence our musical education in schools. They have really contributed significantly. They provided funding to Haiti. They provided funding for projects in Jamaica. They have really spent money in the region. And you may remember Winsong, because when I was in opposition, that's when the Winsong Foundation was first formed. And Winsong even then wanted to contribute. We had come forward indicating that we were interested in contributing to education in Nevis, but unfortunately the NRP powers who were in government at the time decided that they wanted no contribution from Winsong. And I recall, quite tragically, that two of the NRP hacks went into the local paper accusing the people of money laundering and fraud and saying they don't know where the money is coming from and all manner of evil. Praise be to God. The people of Nevis were wise in getting rid of that government and putting in a sensible government, a government that understands the need for partnerships. And as a result of that partnership, I want you to listen to me again. We have got a number of school buses, a whole fleet we have now. We have had tablets, we have had computers, we have had musical instruments, we have had steel pans, and now we are getting 1,385 desks and 1,325 chairs. Significant investments year after year that we have received from our partnership with the Winsong Foundation. I say thank you to Winsong, thank you to the trustees, thank you for all that they're doing in our region to educate and assist in the education of our children. What they're doing in terms of dance, they had a proposal so that dance lessons could be available to those who came, young people who came from families that could not afford. And they now have a very, very good program that they have invested in and continue to invest in to provide dance to the local children, both in Nevis and in St. Kitts. So if the people in St. Kitts are listening, you too have benefited from the generosity of the Winsong Foundation. And so, again, I express gratitude. The Honorable Troy Leiber did say when we open the lines he'll try to call in and he'll give some more details. So far, we anticipate that all the schools on Nevis should benefit. The education officials are now doing that assessment, but thus far he tells me that the benefit is mostly gone to our two high schools. The schools were in desperate need of furniture. We reached out, and this significant investment, over $500,000 EC dollars, has now been made, and we say to God be the glory. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I come to a matter that has troubled me, and I think has troubled a lot of our people over the past few days, and that is the question of how we treat our people, and more specifically, how we engage with our youth. You know, it is easy for all of us as politicians to talk about the youth. And youth empowerment and empowering the youths is always on our lips. But to me, we have to look at action, not just talk. We have to see who are really engaged in empowering our youth, in encouraging our youth, in uplifting our youth. And I want to take some time this evening to address this matter. Now, I happen to lead the government in Nevis at this time. That is a privilege, an honor that has been bestowed upon me by the people of Nevis. I did not select myself. The people selected me in a free and fair election. They would have done so first in 2017. They would have done so again in 2022. And I say thank you Thank you to the people of St. John's, and thank you to the people of Nevis for sticking and staying with a team that is a concerned citizens movement. We do not take your support lightly. And when we put policies and programs in place, it is because we are committed to this island. And you cannot say that you're committed to an island or to a people if you're not committed to all of the people, including our youth. We hear all of these popular jingoism slogans. Oh, the youth are our future. The youth, the future belongs to you. Well, I always say the youth are our present, not our future. We need to give them their opportunity now as much as possible. And more, this island has encouraged our young people. Nevisians, I am passionate about this. I was the beneficiary of a scholarship to go and study. I'm not sure that my family could have afforded it otherwise. And I praise God for that. And I have been passionate. When I was Minister of Foreign Affairs, my staff used to laugh at me. They used to tell me, Minister, every engagement you have with some diplomat from foreign lands, your first request was, what are the opportunities for training for our young people? I secured scholarships in Morocco. I secured scholarships in Mexico. I secured scholarships in, I think it was Romania. I secured scholarships all across this globe for the benefit of our young people. We have worked hard to create opportunities for our young people. And I continue to encourage our young people. Those who follow me on social media would see me constantly posting scholarships with my tagline, apply, apply, apply. I'm continually exhorting and encouraging our young people to study, to advance themselves, to find an area in which they're interested and build themselves. But I ask the question of what value is it for our young people to go off, get an education, sometimes at significant sacrifice to them and their families, if only to come back to this land of theirs, this born-in land, the land where the navel string is buried, to be told that there's no room for you. You must stay in the back of the bus. You must sit down and shut up simply because you are young. That is not the CCM way. That is not my style of leadership. And I want tonight to take some time to address this. Scholarships. In addition to all the scholarships that are now available out there in the world, that we have sought out and obtained and are available for our children and our young people to apply for. The NIA that I lead is also providing significant financial assistance to a large cohort of students who are studying. In fact, I saw the notification went out just a few weeks ago that applications are now open for those who are seeking financial support from the NIA. It's not a full scholarship, but it provides some support. And one of the things that we've done, we've expanded our support to those who are studying online. It used to be that if you're studying online, you did not get any financial support from the NIA. My government has changed that, because we recognize that people can now stay in the comfort of their homes and pursue, whether through the UE distance program or otherwise, a program that will give them the education now using modern technology to deliver it. We have set up a fund, $5 million during COVID. Why? We say that a lot of young people have business ideas but can't get funding, that the banks are not prepared to take a chance on them. And we set up this fund through a partnership with the Taiwanese, and we said that we will make up to 100,000 EC dollars available to young people to start up a small business, a micro business. That fund is being managed by the Small Enterprise Development Unit, and I'm proud tonight to say that a significant number of young people have availed themselves of that facility, and the interest rate on it is only 3%. It's the lowest interest rate that you can get on borrowed funds on the island of Nevis. This government put that in place to benefit our young people interested in setting up a business. We have ongoing training sessions with our youth. Various youth forums have been organized so that our young people can be exposed. We're doing them through social development. We're doing them through community development. The Honorable Latoya Jones has significant youth engagement and involvement that she does every year, where we continue to engage with our young people. In fact, it was only recently, late last year I recall, that the entire cabinet was at the Malcolm Gishard Park engaging with our young people as we talked about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. We are, above all that, empowering qualified young people with leadership positions. Now, this is what I want to emphasize. We are not saying to young people, you must go and sit down. We are saying when you come back, if there's a position for which you are qualified, we are not holding your youth against you. We are saying, yes, you need to get experience, but we understand that you cannot get experience if you're not given opportunity. That opportunity has to be the precursor to allow you then to get the experience that you may need. And all of us, I'm sitting here today with the grace of God. I've just celebrated a birthday. I am now 56 years old. Praise be to God. But I did not born at 56. There was a time when I was a recent graduate from the University of the West Indies and the Norman Manley Law School and Oxford University. I had to be given an opportunity if I were to become what I eventually became. And so I understand the need for us to give opportunities to our people. And every system within government is designed for succession. That is why we have a retirement age in government. The retirement age used to be 55. And then if you had some special skill, you can get extensions 1 year at a time until 60, maximum of 5, and then there is no further discretion for extensions. That's what the law says. We have changed that since to say that the retirement age, I believe, is now 62, but that's only from people coming into the system, I believe, after 2012 or something like that. But those already in the system from before that, their retirement age is 55. Why is there retirement age? The idea is that people should be moving out and allowing the young people an opportunity to come in. And let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, if that's not the case, then when will young people ever get a chance? Well, I am not going to apologize. As the head of this government, I have said to my cabinet, wherever possible, where we have qualified youth, give them an opportunity. And I am not just saying it. Look around. Go into the various departments, go into the schools, look at the principals. Look around. Look at the Ivor Walters Primary School. Look at the St. Thomas's Primary School. Look at the St. James Primary School. Look at VOJN. We have invested in young people. Go down here and look at CSS. We continue to give our youth a chance and say to them, when you have grasped the opportunity, when your poor parents have gone and borrowed money from Development Bank or National Bank, when you have taken that opportunity to get a scholarship, you know what it's like at 18 or 19 to leave your home, to travel to a far place like Taiwan, to go to Cuba where we know things aren't easy, and to study, to apply yourself. When you go to Taiwan, you know, Mandarin is what you speak down there. You're in a different culture, even different language. You go to Cuba, our students have to learn Spanish. They have to habla español before they can do what they're doing. That is the effort that our young people are making in order to come back to contribute. And many of them, let me add this, because of their qualifications, can go elsewhere. They can go to America, they can go to Europe, they can go elsewhere in the Caribbean. They choose to come home. And I say thank you to them, because otherwise we would have a massive brain drain and we would lose our people. Well, when they come home, when they would have done all the things that are right, when they would have gone to school, they would have studied their books, they would have paid attention to teacher, they would have passed their exams, they would have grabbed a scholarship, or even more gone and borrowed money, gone away and studied, sacrificed 4, 5, 6, 7 years sometimes, and they finally come back to Nevis to make their contribution. Well, don't you think that we should encourage them? Don't you think that we should support them? And this gets me to the point that I want to make. We have two main political parties on this island. The Concerned Citizens Movement that I'm privileged to lead. And we have a party called the Nevis Reformation Party that has been in opposition now for many years and behaves in such a manner that frankly, it is frightening the way the NRP behaves. They have, for whatever reason, decided that they will attack young people, and particularly young educated people. And I don't understand why. I am not understanding when the NRP lost its way, because the NRP used to be a party that empowered people. I went away to study under an NRP administration. It used to be a party that had an interest in people and encouraged and uplifted people. Now all that they do day in, day out, night in, night out is attack, vilify, denigrate and spew hatred towards our young people. And I ask the question all the time, why? I want you to listen to me tonight, because you will not just hear my voice. I am prosecuting a case tonight because I am to say, without reservation, that where it comes to our people, empowering our people, putting our people first, putting our youths first, that there's only one political party in the island of Nevis that has our people at heart. There's only one political party that is prepared to give our people opportunity. I am not just talking the talk, I am walking the walk. You hear about the furniture that has just come. Who's going to use it? Our youth in the schools. You hear about the investments that we're making, the TVET Center. Who's going to use them? The youth in our schools, the scholarships, the government assistance to our youth. Well, good God, if we're going to train them, if we're going to invest in them. But when they're trained and they come back to make their contribution, why should we attack them? What are we afraid of, that we constantly seek to attack our young people? Well, this CCM that I lead is a champion for our young people. It has always been and it will always be. Troy Liebert, the Honorable Troy Liebert, he became a member of cabinet in the CCM administration at age 31. The Honorable Janet Nisbet, our Minister of Health, she became a cabinet member at age 32. What were we to tell him? You're too young, you ain't got no experience, you must, because why? Cabinet must consist of old men? Is there some rule that say you must be 60 and over? I wonder if people know that there are many people who are advanced in age but not advanced in wisdom. Let us stop discriminating against our youth. Now I am here to say that the CCM is a champion for our young people. The NRP, on the other hand, has consistently, not just today, not just yesterday, but consistently, since the leadership of Joseph Parry, who is now out of politics, since that time the NRP has taken a turn 180 degrees from where they used to be. They are a completely different party. They used to call themselves the new NRP to try and distance themselves from Sir Simeon Daniel. And under that NRP, a vile, vicious, nasty mentality has taken hold, where every individual who they feel does not support them must be castigated, vilified, attacked. It is unacceptable. And lest you feel that this is just Mark Brantley venting, here's a clip from the Honorable Joseph Parry when he was Premier of Nevis, and he was Premier of Nevis from 2006 until 2013. Here's Joseph Parry speaking to the young people of Nevis in this clip.
I didn't ask Public Works to do no castings on the road, because I know they can't do the road and I have no apology to me. I have a road for them to do, the one up brown pasture. Let them practice, let them practice, let them practice, let them learn to drive. Let me tell you, when these people go university and come back, they need to practice, you know? Because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So they want to go mash up the road, go waste the money, and for the road to mash up in 2 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to cue it up again for me if possible, because I want the opportunity for you to hear it again. This is the Premier of Nevis, as he then was. Now, we in opposition at the time, we raised the concern that all of the work in Nevis was being given to a foreign firm, and that Nevisians, engineers, trained individuals were not getting the opportunities. And to defend giving all the work to a foreign firm, this was what the then Premier of Nevis and leader of the NRP said to our young people.
I didn't ask Public Works to do no castings on the road, because I know they can't do the road and I have no apology to me. I have a road for them to do, the one up brown pasture. Let them practice, let them practice, let them practice, let them learn to drive. Let me tell you, when these people go university and come back, they need to practice, you know? Because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So they want to go mash up the road, go waste the money, and for the road to mash up in 2 years.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this CCM administration that I lead, we have taken the completely opposite approach to that you've just heard. And we've empowered our young people to the point where, do you know that Nevis Public Works technicians are now in St. helping our brothers and sisters in St. to build roads? I wonder if people know that. The same people were being denigrated and told that when they come from university, they don't know what they're doing, are now in St. assisting our brothers and sisters over there to build roads on loan from the Public Works Department that the then Premier and leader of NRP said was incompetent. Denigrating, vilifying, and putting down our own because he wanted to defend giving all the work to a Jamaican company. Some may say that's old news. Mr. Parry has gone into retirement. The NRP now has a female leader, new candidates, and new approach. But guess what? I keep saying it's the same old khaki pants. I keep saying that the NRP fundamentally has not changed its approach. They remain a party at war with the people of Nevis. They have bashed foreigners. They bash youth. Any and everybody they go after. And so recently, there was a radio program. And we have a young principal who has a master's degree in education, appointed as principal at the St. James Primary School, the smallest primary school on the island. And we looked at it and we said, we want to empower and give a chance to this young educator, give her the opportunity so she can go there and show us what she can do. Well, there were some who attempted to politicize some issues with the physical plant, the structure, the school at St. James. We had our plan and we worked to our plan. Well, it appears that the NRP was most upset because, according to them, this professional, educated young woman should have gone on radio and on Facebook to cuss the government. I know that that young lady came, she spoke to me, she did all that she needed to do professionally about the difficulties at the school. And eventually, we were able to remedy some of those concerns, just as we remedy concerns at other schools. And so they had a whole program. Three pensioners, 3 individuals who are already past their sell-by date, got on radio and went after this young woman, this young educated Nevisian, and then decided in that same program to attack our Senator and Minister of Health, the Honorable Janelle Nisbet. Why? because she's young. Now, Janelle Nisbet is a degreed individual, went away, studied, has come back, incredibly bright, incredibly capable, incredibly energetic, qualified. But at 32, being made a member of the cabinet, according to NRP, she's too young. But don't take my word for it. This is a program that is dedicated to the NRP's propaganda that they air every week, and this is what they had to say about these two individuals, a young teacher, principal, who has been elevated by this government and given a chance, and the Honorable Janelle Nisbet, who has also been elevated and given a chance. This is what they had to say about them.
To me the other day that teachers who have committed themselves, gone to teacher training college, gotten themselves their degrees and so on, they are being overlooked if they are in their late 30s and 40s. Because CCM seem to have this urge to have the youngest ever principals. So they are looking at people in their 20s and some people with no administrative experience. And you have some deputy principals who have been there serving for quite a while, can't get elevated because they are 40s and late 30s.
Well, what do you think that is? Here's my theory. Number one, if you're a young lady, a young man have been appointed by a system administration, your loyalty lies with them long after they're gone. You continue to exist as that. Second thing is, you are more easily controlled than a seasoned person, more easily directed and manipulated than a seasoned person. A person who is there knowing the ranks, knowing the operation of the school, will quicker come out and say, you know, Tulu man, this is not how it's done. When you got these young, impressionable principals who glad to be principal. Oh, a principal! I'm only 30 and I'm already principal. You are creating the situation where you're manipulating those people easily.
Controlling them?
You're controlling them. That is the same modus operandi that Brantley used to appoint the Minister of Health. This poor young girl come out of school, don't know, ask my elbow. All of a sudden she is the Minister of Health. I mean, this is par for the course. He wants people who he can control, who feels that they owe him, and who feels loyalty and obligation to him. That's what he wants.
That's all demagogue.
Well, that's the man. That is the man. And so I am not surprised when he names when he appoints all these no-name people.
Ladies and gentlemen, that, as I say, is a talk show with three of they say NRP has changed, but when you look at it, as I say, it's the same old people, recycled, because these are three old recycled gentlemen. I believe they're already collecting pension, certainly social security, but here they are attacking. Imagine saying of a young qualified Nivision woman who's been given an opportunity to lead a school, a primary school, that she just got to say she's a principal and is easily manipulated and easily controlled. Attacking her for what reason? I know Miss Seabrooks. I have seen her from a youngster. She's from Cotton Ground. I have never known her to have any silver spoon in her mouth. She wasn't born in privilege. Poor woman, poor family, grew up bright, used the opportunities, has now a master's degree, and has been given a chance in her country, not in some foreign country, in her country where her navel string buried. And these three old men have decided that the best thing that they could do to spend their time on radio attacking her. And then that was not enough. They then decide to attack the Honorable Janelle Nisbet. Again, a young woman, educated, accomplished, committed, energetic, from where right then Jessups. Again, I don't know Janelle to come from any rich family. She wasn't born into privilege. She has worked hard. gone away, studied, done what she needed to do to prepare herself. Now that the opportunity comes, she's prepared for it in her country. She has been given an opportunity. And these failures, these three, are able to go on air to talk about this young woman and say of her that we just take her up and she doesn't know her ass from her elbow. Forgive my language, but that is what they said. Imagine that. That is what they have to say about. I am not talking about anybody you just take up. I'm talking about educated young Nivisians. So they make this point and then go on, and then you hear how he ends it, that we keep appointing a set of no-name people. Well, that comment there caught my attention. What they mean by no-name people? What does the NRP mean by no-name people? Well, who are the no-name people? The Seabrooks from Cotton Ground are no-name. The Nisbets from Jessops are no-name. Who are no-name? And the reverse of that question is also relevant. Well, who it is that have these names that are known names? Because if some people are no-name, then clearly it suggests that there are others who are known names. Well, who are these known names? Because when I examine these three who are attacking these young people, none of them have accomplished anything with their lives. They haven't done anything to say that they are stand out as Nivisians. One was at CFPC and things happen there daily. One went to high school, no pass, no subject. Went to sixth form, no pass, no subject. Them say he can't pass, no test, not even a paternity test he could pass. And then the other one retired and was never much of anything in terms of his accomplishments. But all three are sitting and bashing young people who are accomplished, energetic, educated. Well, some may say, look, these are three old curmudgeons, three failures. So throw them to one side. They don't speak for the NRP. And I would say, all right, Mr. Parry was a long time ago. These three was some months ago. But then just 2 days ago, we have Dr. Patricia Bartlett, who in her mid-60s said that she is the future for Nevis. And so she now has thrown her hat in the political ring and is going on radio, and this is what she had to say. Let me play the clip so you hear what she had to say.
We need to have people with experience, particularly at our emergency rooms, because it is not comforting to me when I go to an emergency room and I see a doctor that is younger than me. No fault of theirs, but you need experience that you can draw on. You cannot Google your way in an emergency situation.
I want you to play that again for me, please. Forgive me, callers, the clip would come up again shortly.
We need to have people with experience, particularly at our emergency rooms, because it is not comforting to me when I go to an emergency room and I see a doctor that is younger than me. No fault of theirs, but you need experience that you can draw on. You cannot Google your way in an emergency situation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want you, I played it twice because I want the insult, the vilification, the disparaging of our young doctors to percolate. I want you to hear it. Here is somebody who says she wants to lead the island of Nevis. She wants people to elect her and put her into government to make decisions for our people. She's saying, in an attack on our doctors at our hospital, that when she goes up there and she sees somebody in the emergency room younger than her, it makes her uncomfortable. She doesn't like the idea of anybody younger than her who is going to be the one to treat her. That is what she's saying, not me. She. Now, what I find fascinating, ladies and gentlemen, is that Dr. Patricia Bartlett is now on her way to 70 years old. She's almost at 10. So if she is coming to the general public to say, when she go hospital, she don't want to see no doctor younger than her, you realize that it's Methuselah we have to go and hire? We got to go to the biblical times and hire Methuselah to be the doctor that she feels comfortable with? So is that telling our young people you must wait until you're 60 and 70 in order for you to get an opportunity? What is the messaging? Then to suggest that our young doctors are somehow using Google in an emergency. She don't want people using Google. What bigger, grosser insult could there be to our youngsters? Now, we have a number of young doctors. You have heard me encouraging them, begging them that they should not stop here but go off to specialize. And we've provided support. In fact, we have now 5 of those youngsters who have taken up the call and are specializing. I think that we have somebody who's an ophthalmologist. We have somebody who's doing radiology. I know we have somebody, I think, who's doing internal medicine. We have 5 who are out there right now honing their skills, upskilling to come back here to serve us. We have 2, I'm told, on the districts. We have another 6 up at the hospital. And we have 2 who have just returned who are doing what they call the enrichment program. All local people. I know every one of them. Many of you have seen them grow up. You have seen them walk the streets of Charlestown and Gingerland, go to the Gingerland High School, go to the Charlestown Secondary School, go to the 6th form, get an opportunity, go away to study. When I speak to some of these youngsters who have studied in Cuba, because of the U.S. embargo on Cuba and the difficulties of life in Cuba, and they tell me some of the things that they were deprived of, things that they take for granted here in Nevis. I said, these are our bravest, our most courageous, and they do all that to be qualified to come back to serve us. And here is a public official, a ranking member and candidate for the NRP, is telling them that she don't want to see them at the hospital. They're too young. They've not got no experience. And that they're treating people by way of Google. I just want you to sense and appreciate the level of venom that is being directed at our youth. But I'm not surprised at Dr. Bartlett, I'm not surprised. Because Dr. Bartlett and I are family. And we grew up, well, she's older than me by some distance, but across the street from each other. Growing up, they living right there. We had Luther Williams and Floris Williams on one side, Christine Springett on the next, Maisie Bartlett and George Bartlett in front, and we lived like one family. Those 4 households. Mr. Williams used to be a fisherman. When he bring home a fish, he can pass a strap of fish over for my mother. When my mother cook, she passed something over the fence for Christine. Mrs. Springett, let me not be disrespectful, Mrs. Springett. When Maisie Bartlett, Mrs. Bartlett wants something, she come up. I used to have a garden. All my years I've been in love with agriculture. I used to have a little garden in my front yard. Mrs. Bartlett come in and pick what she want. That was how we lived. My Uncle Jolly of blessed memory, every Sunday, Maisie Bartlett sent corn and fish for Jolly. Every Sunday. That's how we lived. And so I know Pat, Dr. Bartlett, we are not strangers to each other. I held the biggest children's party in Nevis for over 15 years. If you are now 20, 21-ish, and you're from St. John's, St. Paul's, you probably have been to my Christmas party. for over 15 years. And where did I hold that? At occasions, every year I partnered with Dr. Bartlett. There was no bigger supporter of CCM, no bigger supporter of myself as a candidate than Dr. Patricia Bartlett. Whenever there were issues, she was at the forefront to fight against NRP. And all of a sudden, she is the biggest NRP. She's an NRP candidate. And you ask yourself why. And I'm here to tell you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, without fear of contradiction, here's the issue. It comes right back to this disrespect for our young people. Dr. Bartlett is a veterinarian by training. And she was in charge of the government's vet office there in Prospect. She got to retirement age. You remember I said at the retirement age, the law says that you could give up to 5 extensions. She applied for extension year 1. We gave it to her. She applied for extension year 2. We gave it to her. She applied for extension year 3. We gave it to her. She applied in year 4. We gave it to her. She applied in year 5. We gave it to her. She came back in year 6 and we say, good God, there's no further that we can go because the law only allows us to do 5 extensions, no more. You got all 5. There is no further that we can go. And I remember well the conversation. I challenged her to come and dispute it, going on about not wanting to retire. But the bigger issue, ladies and gentlemen, is that there was a young vet who had been trained and had come back and was in the position to take over from her. And so every year that she got an extension, that youngster had to wait. Every year that she applied and got an extension, he had to wait. And I have now come to the realization that the real objective was not necessarily to continue working, but to ensure that that youngster never got that position. Clog up the system. Stay till you're 80 or you're 100, and that youngster would never get the opportunity to lead the veterinary clinic. And because I said no, you cannot get an extension beyond the 5 years. That's how Mark Brantley became the most hated individual. Enemy number 1. Because I said, give the youngster a chance. You have done your time. And according to law, you could only get the 5 extensions. You've had all 5. Give the youngster a chance. Let the youngster know. Get the opportunity to step up. And that youngster has stepped up. I have heard no complaints. But you see, it goes back to the thinking. And you see the case I'm prosecuting tonight, you know. Some may say, oh, it's just an errant comment. No. I have taken you from Joseph Parry, the party leader. I take you then to the 3 blind mice and what they had to say about the young teacher and the young minister. And I now take you to the candidate and executive member, Dr. Bartlett, and what she has to say about the doctors. And you see that this is a consistent pattern of behavior going back over the years, where the NRP continues to attack our youth and attack our people. And I ask the question, why? How is it we say we are encouraging young people to aspire? We want them to go to school. We want them to do well. We have so many problems sometimes with young people who are going astray. And we as leaders encourage and we admonish. We talk about crime and how to prevent crime. We talk about youth and antisocial behavior. And when these young people now walk the right path, do the right things, bring honor and glory to their name and to their families and to their island, the same people go on radio to cuss them and denigrate them and vilify them and call them down. And I, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to stay quiet. I'm going to talk about it because it is wrong. You've been listening to me for a little while. I'm going to wrap up now, but I'll wrap up with this. The NRP has a leader, you know. The NRP has a leader. And I keep saying that it comes down always to a question of leadership. Through all this uproar that the island has had over the past few days about these egregious comments of Dr. Patricia Bartlett attacking our young doctors at our hospital. There has been not one word from the leader of NRP. Not one. There has been no apology from Dr. Bartlett. And knowing her temperament, there won't be any apology either. She will just try to continue to do what she does, which is chat rubbish and attack people. That's all she'll do. But the leader, the person who says they want to be the Premier of Nevis, has not said a word. Has not come and said, these comments are unfortunate, I disassociate myself from them. That is not what the NRP believes. She didn't say anything when the three blind mice went and attacked the principal, the young principal, and the young minister. And she has not said anything now that Dr. Bartlett has attacked our doctors. Silent. Well, let's say silent gives consent. I am here tonight talking to you. You know why? Because I am the leader of CCM. I am the Premier of Nevis. I must set the tone for my party and for this island. I must be the one to encourage. I must be the one to criticize, to ask our people to be responsible and do the right thing. I cannot be silent in the face of things that are happening, things that are being said that ought not to happen and ought not to be said. And it bothers me. If you heard the passion in my voice tonight, it bothers me. Because all of us were once young. All of us tried to do the right thing. All of us know how difficult it is to leave our homes and go off to distant lands to study and to come back to make our contribution. All of those young doctors up there at Alexandria could easily find work in America or someplace else. Easily. Because we know doctors are at a premium all around the world. But they've come home. Well, good God, let us embrace them. Let us embrace our people. Show love for our people. I keep saying to those who are minded to listen that the fundamental problem I have with the NRP, when I look at them, I look at their candidates, all of them works with somebody. Their reason for being in politics is not because they love people. It's not because they have plans for the island. It's because they're upset with somebody. Politics for them is about getting even, getting vengeance on somebody. If you're motivated by love for people, you could never have said what Joseph Parry said. You could never have said what these three blind mice said. And you could never have said what Dr. Bartlett said. And in the face of all that, you could never be silent. As the leader of NRP is now silent. It is wrong, and all of us must condemn it as being wrong. That is my soliloquy. It is 9 o'clock. I'm going to open the lines. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. I invite all of you to call in and share your views on this or any other topic. This is On the Mark. And I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I'm taking you, I hope, to 10 o'clock this evening. But I'm hoping now you would call and share your views on the numbers that I've given, 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to be a part of the show, and we go straight to the phones and say good evening. You're on the mark. Hello.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Premier.
Good evening, you're on the air.
This is Minister John L. Nisbet here.
How are you, Madam Nisbet?
I am well. And you know I'm not a frequent caller on your show, but I think this issue is enough for me to call in on your show this evening. But I want to, of course, start by wishing everyone who's listening a very happy and healthy New Year. I hope that 2025 brings nothing but peace, love, and happiness to everyone who can hear the sound of my voice. Unfortunately, Mr. Premier, I must say that I'm unsettled at the moment, and that is because I listened to the words of Dr. Patricia Bartlett on Monday night, and I was disturbed, for lack of a better word, by the negative sentiments towards our young professionals. And this is by someone who put themselves forward as a candidate to be a leader on this island. I simply cannot imagine how Dr. Bartlett had the audacity to say that our doctors who went to school, they sacrificed, they trained for 7+ years, and imply that those doctors were not good enough to treat her, and not based on their skill set, but because of something as insignificant as the fact that they're younger than her. But Mr. Premier, Dr. Bartlett was actually in school at the same time as my mother, and she was several years ahead of my mother in school. So I'm baffled as to whether at the hospital, in the Ministry of Health, we are supposed to only hire pensioners. Now, there's tremendous value, of course, in our older doctors, our older professionals, because that's how you pass on the knowledge to the younger generation. So there has to be that environment where we empower our young people to work with our senior professionals to gain that very experience that Dr. Bartlett said she wanted. So I really couldn't understand how she could say something like they're going to Google their way in an emergency situation. Those were her words. Google their way in an emergency situation. I happen to have been a classmate of, I think, three of the current doctors at the hospital and one who's overseas studied. So I can testify that these have been diligent people who came from no-name backgrounds, as Dr. Daly would have said. A lot of us came from no-name backgrounds, and we worked hard to be able to get that education, to put ourselves in these positions. And it is unconscionable that this party as a collective believes that if you are young or you don't have a name of any significance to them, you should not be elevated into certain positions in our community. And I have to say that this is not just Dr. Bartlett's sentiments. I listened to your show, and I've heard the other clips, and I've heard them before. This is the sentiment across NRP. Dr. Bartlett said those words on a show that is called Your Voice with the NRP. So this must be the principle of the NRP, because up to this point, there has been not a peep from the NRP to say, we don't support this statement. Matter of fact, the host was actually one of my primary school teachers. He was one of my favorite teachers in primary school, and I've always seen him. He's always said how, proud he is, or at least prior to politics, I assume it still stands. Proud he is to see, the accomplishments. So I was also very disappointed that there was no feedback to say this is not the right mindset. This really shouldn't be the mindset that this party is putting forward to the people of Nevis. And I simply could not let that go without a response. As a politician, a new person in the political realm, I understand that there will be certain attacks levied against me by the likes of Dr. Daly or whomever. I don't take those personally. Those are ramblings by the politically obsolete. But when it comes to attacks on young teachers, young principals, young doctors, I think we all have to come together as a society and condemn those words and those actions. And I'm happy that the public listened and the public is outraged. And I see the feedback from the general public supporting our doctors, testifying about the quality care that they have received from these same doctors. I'm lucky enough that I haven't been sick in any significant way in my years on this earth. And so I haven't needed to seek any urgent medical treatment. But Premier, those individuals I trust with my life if it comes to that. I trust them with the lives of my family if it comes to that. And that is because they have put in the work, they've equipped themselves with the knowledge, skills, and they have the passion for what they're doing. So they should not be thrown aside based on something as minor as the fact that you think that they are younger than you. They're not at pensionable age yet, so they're not good enough to serve you. And I really, I know it's taken up quite a bit of time, but it's really something that has been burning on my mind since I've heard it, because these doctors are the very backbone of our society. They're the ones that took us through COVID. They worked overtime. They put themselves at risk. They were on the front line treating our friends, our families, and to get this negative feedback in the name of politics, that's outrageous. And Dr. Bartlett and the NRP needs to apologize to these doctors and to all the young people on Nevis for these remarks and this sentiment by the party as a whole.
Well, Minister, thank you for the call. I gave you the time because I know that this is a matter that you're passionate about. You expressed to me earlier today at the cabinet how much this bothered you. As you say, you yourself have borne the brunt of attacks. But even if we were to say that's par for the course, I still think that it's improper to attack you simply on the basis of your youth. Let them talk about your ability. If it is that you're not performing, then that's par for the course. But to simply say that you're a young person, and because you're young you don't know anything, and therefore you ought not to be given an opportunity, is absolutely unacceptable. So thank you for the call. I support 100% what you're saying. And while you're on, if you're still with me, I just pulled up my phone because it's interesting. Because what these comments have done, it's galvanized tremendous support for our doctors. A gentleman here, his name is Irvin Williams, he says on social media today, I'm surprised at the number of doctors at the hospital. They treated me well during my hospital stay, and I'm so proud of them. I appreciated and thank them greatly for helping me to recover from my illness. The care that I received at the Alexandra Hospital is worth a referral. Thanks again. I comment on this not as a regular patient, but as a retired internal medicine physician who was a patient at the hospital. So that's a retired doctor talking about the quality of care. This other person says, young, knowledgeable, trained in modern technology and gaining experience every day. Nevis's future is looking bright. All who don't want a doctor younger than them attending to them don't go to the hospital when sick.
Those are the feedback that we've been seeing trending across social media, because individuals know and have experienced the quality health care.
This chap says, I know well a young medical doctor now practicing at Alexandra Hospital. He dedicated 7 full years in Cuba, studying in a very challenging environment, gaining knowledge and learning skills essential for caregiving. Today he's back home helping Nevisians get well and stay well. Thank you for your commitment, doctor. You know, this other guy said, don't want to share my medical history, but I've got to say this. After many episodes in the emergency room in regards to whatever, it was a young Dr. Marika Budgeon that charted a course for me that gave me a new lease on life. This was after a senior doctor kept increasing my meds that affected me negatively. Whenever I see, I call her my lifesaver, forever grateful. I mention these comments just to reinforce what you're saying, that these young people have sacrificed, they have studied, they have, as we used to say in the old days, burnt the midnight oil, and they have now come back. They're dedicated, they're energized, and they've come back to give. A lot of people, Minister, who had an opportunity, decided, as is their right, to use their skills in some other country and to contribute there. These doctors decide we're going to come home. Then, as I said, the least that we can do is to encourage them. So I don't understand for the life of me why anybody, and more or less a political party that is seeking to govern this island. Well, imagine they're making decisions for young people, and that is the way they view young people.
But Premier, that's probably why the party fell apart in the first place. They had a younger candidate, and she was elected, and clearly she, aspired for positions of leadership as well, and that's clearly a no in the party. So that would influence the party staying together.
It may explain a lot. Thank you very much, Madam Minister. You should call more often. I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier.
All right.
Good night.
It is now 11 minutes past the 9 o'clock, and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. I'm happy for the call from the Honorable Minister because it shows the outrage. As she said, she's not a regular caller, but she felt compelled to call because the ministry that she leads, these doctors work under that ministry. They work at the hospital. And she knows and understands their dedication and their talent. And she called, and naturally, to defend them. And I agree with her 100%. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hey, Mark.
Good evening.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, good evening.
Mark, good night, boy. You make a good speech tonight, boy. Yeah, it's put you along.
Yes.
Yeah. What's it? What hear up the boys about in America? Meow and aggressive. Aggressive.
Okay.
But they wanna hear you up there.
All right.
Oh, you sound like, you're on something. Yeah, don't study what Karen Powell said. I'm happy gonna be, so you know, happy.
All right, my brother. Thank you. Okay, that's Puchi Aibal sending out his greetings as usual to Meow. Nevis is the best place in the world, Puchi say he's sending greetings to Meow and to Aggressive. So I hope you guys got the message from Puchi Aibal. We're taking your calls 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to be a part of the show. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, how are you doing?
Good evening, I'm doing well, thank you.
Hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you fine.
Wonderful. This is Troy Lyman.
Oh, good evening, Minister. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Of course, I wanted to call in and add my 2 cents to the topic tonight. I realize you came off a long run tonight. You went until just before 9 o'clock. Of course, I want to say Happy New Year to everybody, and I also want to join you in sending out condolences. I know we had the passing of Mrs. Dick, and I've known the family for a very, very long time. I remember they came here when I was still a youngster, but I've known them over the years. Mr. Dick and of course the children, and want to send out condolences to them, and also our good colleague and member of the CCM executive, Burley Warren, and I have known Burley's family pretty much since I've known myself. One of his brothers, Neil, was my classmate from kindergarten, and so, back in those days when you had a big brother, older brother who was out of school, that was a very big thing, and Burley was his older brother, so I have known Burley for, really, really long time, since I was a child, and certainly we are very sad about his passing, Mark. And I also want to send you some belated birthday greetings. I know you would have gotten a lot of birthday greetings, but of course, On the Mark has a different type of reach. So I want to register my belated birthday greetings to you here on the show. Mark, I want to join you in saying a heartfelt thank you to the Winsong Foundation. I think as everybody would have heard by now, our young people, our young school-age children and Nevis are now the beneficiaries of some furniture courtesy of the Winsong Foundation. We have just over 1,300 desks and chairs that we are expecting. 1,300 desks, 1,300 chairs that we are expecting. We have already gotten, I think it's 995 desks and 800 plus chairs already. And it's a significant expenditure by the Winsong Foundation, over 500,000 EC dollars. And I would have said that on Facebook earlier in the week, and one person questioned, that 500,000 sounded a bit much for the amount of cheers and desks that we have gotten. And I'm happy that I was able to, expound on it a bit, that the shipping alone to bring those chairs and desks here, the shipping is over 100,000. So we must remember that here at Nevis we are living on an island 36 square miles, and to get anything here we either have to bring it by boat or we have to bring it by airplane. So Winsong Foundation didn't just buy the furniture and say, well, it's up to the NRA to ship it in. I mean, that would have been good enough. That would have been wonderful. But they bought the furniture and they also paid to ship it here. So what we did was to collect the furniture from the port and to distribute to the students. We have started the distribution already. We started with the 2 secondary schools, the 2 government-owned secondary schools, the Charlestown Secondary and the Jingaland Secondary. And Mark, I am so happy and I'm so delighted, seeing the looks on the faces of the children when they came in this past Monday to their classes and realized that they had new furniture. Furniture is something that we have been battling with as a government. In the past, we have ordered furniture for different classrooms and so on, but it's an expensive undertaking, to refit classrooms and so on with furniture. So, I'm so delighted that Winsong was able to come forward and to help us. And our partnership with Winsong was not just limited to the furniture that we're getting this year. We have established now what is a long-standing partnership with Winsong. They have partnered with us to get musical instruments to be used in our schools. They have partnered with us to get tablets and laptop computers. Our teachers, I think that most of them would have received their laptop computers already, and those are courtesy of the Winsong Foundation also. And another thing, Mark, the school buses, the brand new, good-looking school buses that we have moving to and fro around the island of Nevis, taking our children to wherever they need to go. Those school buses that we have were also courtesy of the Winsong Foundation. I believe that all told, they would have given us 5 or 6 school buses. I believe that it's 6 school buses. So pretty much all of the school buses that we have in Nevis using in service were courtesy of the Winsong Foundation. Just this afternoon, I was over at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. I passed there after doing my little afternoon walk to get a bit of exercise, and the Charlestown Secondary School was having a relay event there, and I saw 3 of the school buses over there, lined off and ready to take the students home after the event. These school buses have been moving back and forth, taking our children to and from school, students who are training, whether it's for track and field, basketball, for football, whatever it is they're doing, the school buses are there to take them to where they need to go and then to take them back home. And these school buses came to us courtesy of the Winsong Foundation. So it has been a really fruitful partnership with Winsong. And Mark, I want to say a special thanks to you, because I don't even know if you want me to talk about it, but I will anyway. The Winsong Foundation is in Nevis because of you. the Winsong Foundation is here because of the relationship that you would have had in your previous career as an attorney. So, you know, I want to also say thanks to you for bringing Winsong here, and it has been a really fruitful partnership. Mark,
Yes, I'm listening to you, brother. I'm listening.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I want to say a big thank you. We have distributed some of the chairs already to the secondary schools. The tables and the chairs that we received in this first shipment, 4 containers, are the bigger tables and chairs. They are intended for the secondary schools and for the students in the upper classes of the primary schools. So they are the bigger desks and chairs. We are expecting to get some desks and some chairs for the infant classes soon. Those we expect to come in the next shipment. The desks that we receive, they're bigger, but they're able to adjust a bit. So for students who are maybe a bit shorter, they can be adjusted down, and for those who are a bit taller, they can be adjusted up. But they are the bigger sizes. For the students who are going to be in like kindergarten and grade 1, grade 2, who we expect they will be a little bit smaller based on age, we are getting some desks that are smaller, and those also would be adjustable but at a smaller size, and we're expecting some smaller chairs. So this is something that was worked on over a long period of time. We had to put things together. We got a visit from the company. They were purchased from a company out of Canada, company by the name of Verco, and we would have met with the company and had conversations and so on, and would have been able to source all of the you know, come together about the sizing and all of that, and put the order together. And then Winsong was so gracious to make the purchase for us. So we really appreciate Winsong. I also want to touch a bit on the other topic that you spoke about.
Before you go to the other topic, though, Minister Liebert, let me reinforce for the public that the Nevis Island Administration and the Ministry of Education, from my understanding, did not handle any funds.
No.
That the funds were remitted directly from Winsong to the furniture supplier.
To the company.
So that is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it's important that we also say that we weren't dealing with any middleman. We dealt directly with the company. The company is the manufacturer of these chairs and desks.
Okay.
So we weren't dealing with any middleman type company. We dealt directly with the company that's the manufacturers. So the communications were between the Ministry of Education, the Winsong Foundation, and the seller, who are the manufacturers. And monies were passed directly from Winsong to the company. So there was no money being passed through the NIA.
Okay, all right. You said you had something more for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, I want to chime in, because I know that social media has been a buzz over the past day or two after those, unfortunate statements. I think you said a mouthful. We had the statement speaking about the appointment of principals and so on. And I find those statements to be very I have to search for a word that's not as bad. I just find them to be quite unfortunate that people would want to speak ill of our young persons who have gone off and have gone to university and studied, given of their time and their money. I went to university, Mark, and I didn't have an easy time in university. And so when I think about other people going to university, I tend to go back and think about my own experience. I remember I used to have some classes that go until 10 o'clock in the night, And in my case, I didn't live close to school. I had to get a train to come home. And I remember a particular night leaving school at 10, getting on the train, and by the time I got to Brooklyn, and then I took a little bus and then I had to walk home. It was raining, and it was about midnight, and I was walking home in the rain, okay, at midnight. And these are the kind of things that people go through when they go overseas to go to university and so on. Sometimes it's not easy. It's not a bed of roses in the way that people who have never done it might think it could be. And so when I see these young people, they have gone away and they have really tried to better themselves, and they have come back to contribute to our island, to the development of our island, and to help other young people. Why do you want to lambaste them? What kind of person would want to lambaste them? And these very people who are talking, they would have been given opportunities in the past. So I don't understand why they find it, so difficult to see other people getting opportunities. And I, for one, Mark, and of course I know that it's a policy of our government to promote young people where we see that they are deserving of promotion. So if you look at some of our primary schools now, we have a cohort of young principals and so on. So when a principal moves on and they retire and so on, what are we supposed to do? We look for people who could, fill the roles and who could develop and so on, and that's what we do. So I find that it's very unfortunate that the NRP would want to go out in the way that they're doing to lambaste young people. And it has been their pattern, Mark. I don't want to take up all it. I want to talk a little bit about the doctors, because the doctors, most of them are Cuban trained doctors. And they have, when they go to school in Cuba, they have to learn Spanish. We speak English here in Nevis. Most of us, we only speak one language. And it's difficult enough for us to learn Spanish, just to talk and say a few things. But these doctors, they have to learn Spanish. And then they have to go to school and learn at a university level doing Spanish. So if they have the ability to do that, that alone should show us how much ability these young people have. And so when they come back and they're contributing, I don't see why anybody should go out there and try to lambaste the doctors. And I think that when Dr. Bartlett spoke, I think that she misspoke. I don't think Dr. Bartlett remembered her age when she was talking, because if I am correct, Dr. Bartlett is probably in her mid-60s. That's the time when most people looking to retire. I think in Nevis, you collect Social Security at 62. Mm-hmm. That's when most people are looking to collect their Social Security and so on. That's not when people thinking about starting a career or being in the peak of their career. That's when people are winding down and so on. So I don't understand that type of statement. What could have driven anybody to make a statement like that? And I think that, I don't expect that it would happen, but I think it would be nice and it would be very appropriate for Dr. Bartlett to offer an apology to those doctors who were aggrieved by that statement. And I also, Mark, don't expect to hear the NRP come out and offer any type of condemnation to those statements that have been made recently, because I think the NRP were fully on board with what was said.
Well, I think, Troy, thank you for saying that. And the reason why I decided to prosecute this case this way tonight, because I would have shown what Joseph Parry said. That was when he was premier.
Yeah, well, you remember who they were trying to get at with that.
Oh, I know. Right? So I would have shown what he would have said. Again, attacking young people. Fast forward, you think, well, all right, that was a mistake. The party would have learned. You now go to the three blind mice and what they had to say. Fast forward now, you have Dr. Bartlett and what she has to say, and you realize there's a consistent pattern.
Yes. Yes.
There's a consistent, and that's why when I say it's the same old khaki pants, some people don't seem to accept, because they talk about, oh, they're doing something new, and it's nothing new. It's the same people, it's the same attitude, it's the same effort to denigrate and attack everybody. You know, somebody just sent me a message. I like to, because as you were talking, I was checking, and somebody sent me a message. Let me see if I can find it. A young man, right? He sent this message to me. He said it's three that were talking about the principal and the minister are three failures. He said, listen, especially daily, if you can't maintain a crop of passion fruit, how you could advise anybody?
The trellises. I see them going up the road by government house, just gathering bush.
but you know, these are the people who supposedly are coming to guide Nevis, and supposedly coming to tell the people of Nevis what is best for them. Well, how you could tell people what is best for you when the only thing you're qualified in is failure? I don't understand it. And to go after young people especially, to go after them, you know, it just seems to me to boggle the mind that you tell our young people to do the right thing. You say that you create opportunities for them to go off and study, but then when you come back and you elevate them, somebody's there to cuss them.
I think one of the problems that these people in the NRP have is that the country has moved past them. Those persons who are on the radio, people like Dr. Bartlett, the country has already moved past them. And they, for some reason, they can't seem to accept it. And so that's the reason why they are lashing out at young people. Because the country has gone past them. The young people are now the movers and the shakers in the country. And they can't seem to accept it.
Well, as in the immortal words of Minister Nisbet, these are what we call a politically obsolete. So
I like that.
we will move on from there. All right. All right,
Mark. You have a wonderful
yes,
night, and it's a great show so far.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for that very, very good information on Winsong and all that they've done here for Nevis. Let us continue. I only regret that it started later than it should have, because of course there was the opportunity for Winsong to engage under the NRP, but they refused and said they wanted nothing to do with Winsong. Well, we have engaged, and through that partnership now, we are seeing significant benefits for the children and for education in Nevis. So thank you very much, Minister, for you and your team.
Wonderful. You have a great night.
Yes, and all that you've been doing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 25 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock. It means you have 25 more minutes to take your calls. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening, how are you?
Good evening to you. I'm well, thank you.
Trying to get into the show.
You're in now. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Good evening, Mr. Premier, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Minister Brantley, I thought I would call in and give the general public a quick update. I am very happy to report that we have started the process of connecting our new well site there at Madden to our water system. We are making some very good progress, and we are hoping that we can see that connection completed over the next few days. I am also happy to report that the drillers should be back on island very shortly to continue the drilling program here on the island of Nevis. That we are hoping that we can add some additional water to our system. But then I want to lend my voice to the topic of the day. What I call some very unfortunate comments by my former panelist here on the Let's Talk show, Dr. Patricia Bassett. When I heard her comments, my mind went to my son, a young man in his early 30s who would have gone to the U.S., studied, came back with a degree in architecture. My mind went to his wife, Akida Brand, and I hope she don't mind me calling her name tonight, who went to the US and came back with a master's degree in things like education, leadership, and management, and emerging technologies. my mind went to the young architect there at Public Works who did such a remarkable job at our cultural village.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My mind went to the young engineer, Dan Dyer, at Public Works, who continued to do remarkable. And those are just some names that came to mind when I heard her statement. And to think of these kind of statements being said about our young doctors, it really shows that the Nevis Reformation Party and the agents of the Nevis Reformation Party are not ready for prime time. They are not ready for prime time. When the CCM party say people matter and people matter most, it is something that we practice. We always seek to elevate our young people, not discarding those who have many years of experience, because we need that transfer of knowledge and the transfer of experience. But how are we expect to continue to build an island and to build a sustainable island state if we are not prepared to give our young people an opportunity? I heard comments as well about our head teacher, Mr. Brooks, and the minister said. And perhaps the public may not know that the minister says is a force to be reckoned with inside the cabinet room. She may be small in stature, but she holds her own inside the cabinet. And I don't want anybody to think that, oh, she may not have any understanding or any experience. She is a force to be reckoned with inside the cabinet. And when I hear these kind of statements about our young doctors, I felt that. I felt that it was an unfortunate statement. I felt that it was an unwarranted statement, an unprovoked statement. And as my colleague said earlier, perhaps it might be wise for Dr. Brantley to offer an apology, because I think that apology can help to mend some of these levels of resentment that we are hearing going on right now over this statement. It is unfortunate and it's uncalled for.
Minister?
Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're there. I'm listening to you.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say, Prim, that our young people, our doctors, our teachers, our engineers, our architects, this CCM government has their back, and we are always going to stand with them and support them.
Thank you very, very much. I think that is incredibly well put, because it's one thing to talk about youth empowerment. It's one thing to talk about empowering women. It's another thing to show it and to demonstrate it. And I think you're absolutely correct. You listed out just a few. We could list 100 more of individuals who have been given an opportunity. And as I keep saying, how are our young people to get experience if you don't give them the opportunity? If you don't trust them, if you don't give them a chance so that they can shine, how are they to get the experience? So this old archaic, I think, as Troy Lai would put it, the island has gone beyond that thinking.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We've moved beyond. So I am grateful for that, and thank you, Minister. Publicly, I say it all the time, for the excellent work you're doing in terms of water. I think that the people of Nevis are going to be the beneficiaries. I think a lot of people take it for granted because they turn on the pipe 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they have water. They take it for granted, but a lot of hard work and a significant amount of investment has gone into getting us to where we are. And so we thank you for leading the team, because I believe the people of Nevis are the beneficiaries, and that's why they elected us to do the job.
All right. Thank you very much, and continue to enjoy your good show.
All right. Thank you for the call. It's 20 minutes to, and we're taking your calls. Let's go right back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark. Hello?
Honorable Premier.
Yes. How are you?
Good evening, sir.
Well, it looks like I'm getting the whole cabinet tonight. This is a good feeling. How are you? How you doing? How you doing? Thanks for calling.
I am doing pretty good.
Yes.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good.
You're firing on all cylinders tonight,
Yes.
as usual.
What's happening?
I'm pretty good. I wanted to join with you in extending some condolences to the family of the late Lady Sheila Daniel. A wonderful, wonderful soul she was. And, of course, condolences to Adrian and the rest of the family. And of course, to the family of the late, my good friend Burley Walwyn, as you would have indicated, Burley would have been one of the persons to nominate me on most of the occasions that I've ran. And of course, Burley's death has been a real blow to us in Gingerland, and of course to the Concerned Citizens Movement as well. And so I want to extend condolences to his wife, Marcia, to the children, Marley and Alexa, to the rest of the family. It's a huge family. His family, to his mom Louise, his siblings, in-laws, everybody. I know it's really a hard blow for us. And so, of course, we know Burley would be laid to rest on Friday at the service of the Gingerland Anglican Church at 2 o'clock. I, of course, also want to join with you and extend condolences to Mr. Grafton Dick and the rest of the family. Esmeralda was my sweetheart, and she was such a lovely, smiling lady. Wherever you go, always lovely, always smiling, and of course, a very, very heavy supporter of our party as well. So, Grafton Dick and the rest of the family, the children and the extended family, condolences to you. I also want to extend condolences to the Clark family here in Hanley's Road, Mrs. Viola Clark and the children. They would have lost Mr. Ronald Clark in December. They would have lived abroad for quite some time, and he will be laid to rest tomorrow. I also want to extend condolences to the Ferguson family up there in Zetlands on the loss of Mr. Aitkins Ferguson, and he would have been laid to rest on Monday. And so to Amelita and Veronique and Jaime and the rest of the family, condolences. And of course, I also want to extend condolences to the family of the late Nelson Stapleton, who would have really labored hard in the security forces here on the island of Nevis. And so to Alan, his wife Maureen, and the rest of the family, condolences to you as well. I want to change gears a bit now, Honorable Premier, and I want to extend some heartiest congratulations to a wonderful cousin of mine in the United States of America in New York by the name of Sheila Bino. She is now Senator Sheila Bino. And Sheila would have run in the U.S. States Senate, New York, in Long Island area. She would have won that seat, and she would have become the first black person to represent Long Island in the 247-year history of the New York State Senate. And so I want to congratulate her. Sheila is a wonderful, intelligent, hard-working, passionate, humble woman. And I think the people of Long Island would have made us a wonderful choice. She would do an exceptional job. And I want to just say how proud I am of my cousin. Her grandfather, the late Charles Doe, was from Gingerland in Nevis. Her mother, Dolores Bino, was born in St. Kitts. And so Sheila has her roots right here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And now she's making her mark, making her contribution to the U.S. Senate. She comes to the Federation pretty often. As a matter of fact, she was at my swearing in 2 years ago at the ETW Park. And so I want to say how proud I am of Sheila. I really should have been there, but I was elsewhere. Unfortunately, I didn't make it up. But I'm really very, very, very proud of her. So congratulations to you, Sheila, on behalf of all of us in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, Honorable Premier, finally, I just wanted to just chime in a bit on the issue that you have been prosecuting tonight, the case that you have been prosecuting tonight, Honorable Premier. And I want just to speak about the hospital, the Alexandra Hospital, and the service that is being provided there in general. Because as Minister Liebert and Minister Nisbet would have indicated, I think the comments were very unfortunate. Because Premier Brantley, I go to the hospital quite often. I visit the hospital very often. And when I go to the hospital, I visit every patient that is there at the hospital. And I know when I visit the hospital, the comments that normally come from the patients are generally glowing. And I'm not making this up. The comments are normally glowing about the service that is rendered at the hospital. And it is rendered in part by most of all of persons who are young people. I remember one time I was there at the hospital, I saw a young man there who is from Cotton Ground. And you know what he said to me? He said to me, Mr. Evelyn, you know me Mark Hard because he's someone I know well. He said, I Mark Hard. And I can tell you, don't take on what people say about this hospital. He said the service here is first class. From the cleaner, go all the way up. Those were his exact words. From the cleaner, go all the way up. The service here is first class. I've seen patients there from St. Kitts who have lauded the service of the hospital. And many times in a very smart way, when I visit a lot of the patients, I ask them in a smart way, are you being well taken care here at the hospital? And Premier, 99.9% of the times, the answer is always a positive one. They said, yes, I'm getting excellent care. I was there at the hospital only last Friday, and the patients who I spoke to as well said they're getting very good care at the hospital. And as I said, I want to commend all who are working at the hospital, irrespective of what age you are. And I want to ask you to continue to provide that quality service. Because as I said, normally when I visit the hospital, when I speak to the patients, all of them can't be lying. And as I said, 99.9% of the times, when I ask them about the treatment that they're receiving and the service that they're receiving, it's always a glowing report. And so I don't think it is in good faith for anyone to try to denigrate anyone who works at the hospital, irrespective of your age. Age is just a number. Age has nothing to do with someone's ability to do their job. And once people are young and once they can apply themselves, once they're bright, there's absolutely no reason why they cannot do a good job. And so I just want to say again that I commend the service that is being provided at the hospital at all levels. And I want to encourage them to continue.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Minister Evelyn. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. And I too join with you in encouraging our young people to continue to do the best that they can. So thank you for your call.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Good. Let me just say before we take the next call that I want to just remind everyone that Urology Associates is having their free annual screening, prostate screening. The registration starts at 6:30 a.m. Early morning rise. Prostate awareness, of course. Don't procrastinate. Go check your prostate. It is going to be at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park on January 18th. January 18th. So please mark the date and go out, men, particularly those who are 40 and over, to get your prostate checked. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the line. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're on the mark.
Hello, Mr. Premier. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, my friend. How are you?
Oh, I am good. I am well. I want to talk about empowering young people. We are failing our youth when we're not setting out to teach them the virtues of life. Simple things like gratitude, cleanliness, believing that little and much God is in it. You know, these virtues, respecting ourselves, respecting our body, and the surroundings around us. I mean, even today we had a relay festival, and it's like a garbage pan is right there, but the children think it best to just left their mess around their feet, you know, and they have no respect for themselves to know that they can get sick by harboring all these flies and mosquitoes. So that's one. I want us to go back to that, where we can teach simple gratitude from in the home. Because if we really believe little and much God is in it, then a lot of us wouldn't be buying the things too hard. They're buying for a can of milk here, a carnation milk for $4 and change. Well, I just buy a carnation milk in Miami for $5.30, and that was US. And then I buy a piece of drumstick for $5 US, and I say that I could buy a drumstick in Nevis, a fried drumstick for $4 EC. So I wish they can be empowered and see what is out there in the world when they are crying wolf, wolf, things are hard. And then for people of leadership who call down doctors, they must remember, they said, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy is what I say. So we have to start being mindful about looking out for ourselves in terms of what we let in, the people who we put in our circles, the people who we seek mentorship from, the way we treat our body by what we eat and whether or not we are exercising. I say kudos to the young doctors. I am quite happy, I am quite elated when I see former students who would have taken the time out, the effort, the energy, and even the negative experience to go through their dreams and to achieve such level of education. Now, when they come back here, even though we would have gone to school and we would have learned a lot, there is something called mentorship on the job or apprenticeship in some areas of study. So we as the older folks, instead of done crying these people, have that conversation with them, that we can lead them and guide them and say, no, but this is not the way to do it. You do this until you achieve that. And so with that, right, I hope she hear this word and no. I see that Cleo would have put on her Facebook page celebrating some phenomenal young people in Nevis. After teaching for 30 years, some of them are on my list as past students. And I am happy that she's able to highlight that. Ron Daniel also do a good job of doing that. And as musicians, we must forget the partisan politics and celebrate the citizens of Nevis. We must understand as NRP, as CCM, that there are things that we need to speak in one voice because we are promoting Nevis. And sometimes it is better if we come to a table in quiet so that we can reason and trash on something than always running to social media. Social media it can build us and it can break us. And so we have to know how to use this powerful tool in our hands called social media. Next, it's going to be AI. So somebody may be putting in a statement and AI telling them what to say, and they don't have the critical thinking skills to evaluate what AI say and run blindly with it. So we have to be careful. We have to be mindful. The soft skills are still necessary in today's world. Now, the year ended for me on a very sad note. But did it let me? No, it did not take me there. I lost my mother in November, buried her in December. But she would have said to me she would have had lived her life and she is tired. If a man tired, that means he's not going to give you his best effort. So you let him go. You don't want to be the builder who at the last stage of his job when the man said, just build me one more house, and he was so fed up and he put in mediocrity work, and at the end of the day when he received the key, it was his house. So as the builder and the contractor who was known for such high service, such high delivery in homes, he ended up living in the world's home because he could not get that one little bit more of motivation to say, I will keep my standards. And keeping your standards is important. You must remember that. Work hard, play harder, because you need that stability. You need to build yourself so that you can keep motivating yourself. People think motivation comes from pay. No, motivation is intrinsic. It comes from inside of you. You must be hungry for it. You must want it. And you know what old people say? Necessity is the mother of invention. If you want without something, you will not have put your mind to thinking, how could you achieve, how could you get? You got to get hungry in order to want it. Stop looking for a handout. That's what I want to say for 2025. Let's come together and do it together.
All right, Mavis, thank you very, very much for your call. And I extend again to you my condolences on the loss of your mom. And happy to hear you always on the show. Thank you for your contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 5 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock, and we have time, I think, to take one or two more calls. We thank the callers who have called in thus far. I think that the ministers calling in, they have made a huge difference in terms of the report, hearing it directly from them, and the other callers as well, I think, have added tremendous value to the show this evening. Let's go to the phones and take this call. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Premier Brantley.
Good evening to you.
I would like to send out condolences to all the bereaved families.
Thank you.
My scripture tonight is taken from Proverbs 22, and I'm reading 3 verses from verse 17. Bow down thine ear, and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall withal be fitted in the lips, that thy trust may be in the Lord. I have made known to thee this day, even to thee. That's the end of the reading. May God bless you, keep you, guide you, and protect you from all harm and danger, and bless you and family, dear. God bless.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your beautiful scripture as always.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just about 3 minutes left, and we're taking maybe a final one or two calls. 469-1616, 469-1700. Caller, I'm so happy you called in with the scripture, because I didn't want to end the show without getting one of my callers who usually give me a scripture, one of them called in this evening. So I'm happy that you called and that you were able to get in. We still have time, I think, for one or two more calls. So if there's somebody out there who wants to be a part of the show, certainly you can call in. This has been, I think, a good show tonight, because we're able to prosecute a particular case. We're able to lay on the table what it is people are saying, what it is those who have led and want to lead are saying, and the difference between the two political parties on the island of Nevis. One that is empowering people, that is put people at the center of what we do, realizing that without people there is no sustainability, investing in our youth through scholarships, through investment opportunities, through seed funding for businesses and the like, a party that is committed. And when our young people come back and are qualified, we are seeking to create opportunities for them. You have the other side, who has consistently attacked our young people. From the position of Premier, as it then was, to those talking heads, to candidates. One consistent theme. For the NRP and its spokespeople to say that we are giving opportunity to no-name people, of all the egregious things that have been said, what is that supposed to mean? Who are these no-name people? No-name people. I wonder if these are the same no-name people that they're asking to vote for them come election time. Because when people show you who they are, I think you ought to believe them. We have the opportunity for one final call. We have somebody on the line. We're going to take this call now. Caller, good evening. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark.
Good night.
Yes, you're a final call. Go ahead.
Yes, good night. This is last time. Look, I like to Psalm 5 verse 1. Say, give ear to my word, O Lord. Consider my meditation.
Okay. Psalm, what you say? 1. Okay, the caller left. I think he said Psalm 1 verse 5 maybe. I'm not sure. But caller, thank you for that. We're just winding up now, ladies and gentlemen. I believe, as I said, that this show has been a good show. We have really used our recording. That's the beauty of technology. That just as this show tonight would have been recorded, and you can listen it tomorrow, you can listen it next week, you can listen it 100 times. So too what our public figures say is being recorded, it's being looked at. And we can use words to inspire, we can use words to uplift, we can use words to encourage, or we can use words to denigrate, to vilify, and to degrade. I believe that we have a responsibility to uplift our people. And I have come on this show from time to time, and I have been very strong in my language when I'm trying to say that our people need to be more responsible in their behavior. But never could it be said that I have not encouraged the best in our people. And so I will continue to do that. I say thank you. Thank you to our young teachers. Thank you to our young principals. Thank you to our young ministers. Thank you to our young doctors. Thank you to our young lawyers. Thank you to our young people. Nevis and St. Kitts belongs to you. And as I know, head to stage left, because I realize that on this earth I have more time gone than left. It is your time now. And let us who have wisdom share that with you, encourage you. You have my support. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited